SweetAnita is a popular Twitch variety streamer with over 1.7 million followers, and while she does have a positive fan base supporting her, she's also spoken out about the abuse, stalking and threats she's received from some of the people that watch her. She's discovered an entire Reddit community dedicated to sexualizing otherwise innocuous images and videos of her. She's even had a stalker sleep outside of her house and assault her. For Anita, she's found many good things in her streaming career to date, but the darker side has been undeniable and prevalent for most of her time on Twitch. SweetAnita is an English streamer who began her Twitch career in 2018 and quickly grew in popularity thanks to her gaming content and openness about being a streamer with Tourette's syndrome. In fact, it's this unique combination of gaming and involuntary tics that have helped endear fans to Anita over the years.
Pegs, there's easier ways to say you're the other imposter. Just tell us you're the other imposter.
Yeah. I'm the other imposter!
Thank you for believing me, guys. You fools!
What?
No, I'm not the imposter!
theScore esports spoke to Anita back in 2019, and Anita explained that she can see both the funny side and also the difficulties that she's faced from her condition.
Yeah, totally fine. I'm a tiny little woman screaming at the top of my lungs about a dick I clearly don't have. Of course that's ridiculous. Of course that's funny. I know it's ridiculous, and I'm perfectly fine with other people seeing it that way too. And to be honest, I grew up being treated quite harshly for my condition and with no diagnosis and no way to explain what was going on. People treated me as if those actions were intentional, and that was really hard and really scary.
But her candid accounts about her experiences with Tourette's syndrome have offered an educational window to thousands online who might be unfamiliar with or misinformed about the condition.
So my stereotype of Tourette's syndrome was that it was only swear words, that you always shouted them, that it couldn't ever be complex. And the things that I was doing when I was alone were complex. Sometimes I'd sit there and I'd just go, I killed 52,000 men. And that doesn't seem to fit with the idea of someone just shouting one random word over and over. There were certain situations where it didn't happen, and I didn't know why. When I interact with animals, when I'm caring for someone, I don't tick as much. When I whistle, I don't tick at all. And when I focus and fixate on something without distraction, the tics go away.
If you tune into Anita's stream on any given day, you're usually met with gaming, chatting with her viewers, or reactions to videos. By any measure, Anita has a popular variety stream where she and her viewers just have fun. But Anita also hasn't shied away from talking about the negative experiences she's had from streaming on Twitch. Every stream has its share of unwanted viewers, but many streamers have to deal with something far worse than your average troll. There are those who watch her stream who only bring harm, people who have sexualized her against her will, threatened her, and even stalked her, sometimes in real life. In an interview with the Huffington Post, Anita talked about stumbling upon a subreddit which stated it contained not safe for work pictures of her. She was naturally confused because she'd of course never streamed without clothes on. Most of these images and videos have been taken from Anita's stream at seemingly innocent moments, her getting up from a chair or walking away from the camera. But these people had screenshotted the moments where they could see any part of her body and shared them with each other in a sexually suggestive manner. Some had even manipulated the images to make her clothes appear transparent or had photoshopped her into pornography. And this online behavior has also spilled out into the real world. In 2019, she talked openly about a stalker who had spent hours outside of her house and had assaulted her before being caught and detained by the police.
The other day, some shopkeepers had to intervene and kind of hold him back while he chased after me because he waited outside my house, followed me into a shop, then waited for me outside the shop, and when I told him to leave me alone and asked if he had a knife, he didn't respond. When I said, are you going to let me walk home alone? He said yes, and then when I went to cross the road, he started chasing, and two guys ran out the shop and grabbed him and then grabbed hold of the gate to another area of town, and so I went through the gate and they held it closed so that he couldn't pass them and continue to follow me. It's not the worst thing he's done. He has actually physically assaulted me.
Over the years, Anita has talked multiple times on her stream and on social media about a stalker who threatened her with violence online, tracked her down in real life, and physically assaulted her. And this situation isn't just isolated to Anita here. There's a pattern of behavior. Other streamers, such as BX Bullet, have discussed Twitch's stalking problem.
They went over there to talk to him about it, I guess, and according to him, and he could be lying or bluffing, but he said that they told him that somebody in Texas had, tipped them off. So after that, he just came at me with everything he had, and he's been coming at me with everything he has, with doxing, harassment, bots, threats, telling me he has my address, and like saying things like "see you soon" or "can't wait to come visit you" kind of stuff.
I spoke to Anita, who told me that far from this being a recent thing, the unwanted sexualization and abuse she's received has been happening for as long as she's been on Twitch.
Oh, well, it's not particularly recent. It's just been the whole time that I've been streaming. I've always had people be sexual, push boundaries, and be cruel. And sometimes it's from the angle that, people are like, well, I used to find you attractive, but now you've gained weight, so you've disappointed me and I'm unsubbing. And then there are people who are just like, one day I will find you and I will rape you. Like, it's so extreme and often very just, very intentionally cruel. It doesn't seem like people who are just like besotted and hopelessly in love. And I feel like whenever I talk about it, people get upset with me for complaining because they picture that I have all of these nerdy boys that are hopelessly in love with me and I should be grateful for the attention, is the overall response that I get.
Anita told me that she's often been subjected to unfair accusations of playing the victim card, that speaking out about it has often been met with overwhelming disgust and distrust. Despite this, she said she has intermittently spoken up about the behavior, either to the perpetrator themselves or to a wider audience on the matter. For most people watching this, Twitch is just entertainment, a screen where you can go and watch your favorite content creators at any hour of the day. But it's sometimes easy to forget that for full-time streamers, this isn't just a place they dip in and out of purely for fun. In many cases, this is their full-time job. Their stream is their workplace, just like any other workplace. But for whatever reason, streamers aren't offered the same workplace protections and expectations that many of us take for granted in our own lives.
If you were experiencing this level of abuse in any other job, people would say quit, people would say sue, people would say this is horrible. But if you are a content creator, it's expected that you should be willing to and able to endure this level of harassment every single day. And the worst part is there's no way to tell which one of these people is going to take it off the stream and into the real world, because plenty of people have, with me specifically and with other content creators too. So there's no way to know if this is like just someone messing around and being rude, or someone who's going to wait in your back garden with a knife, which is something that's happened.
When it comes to abuse and streamer safety, Twitch has a page on their creator camp where they discuss the moderation and safeguard tools that streamers can use. These tools are supposed to give creators the confidence that, quote, when they stream on Twitch, it will be a positive experience, adding that they take the responsibility seriously as part of their mission to make everyone feel welcome and protected. These tools include auto mod, chat rules, moderators, timeouts, and bans. But the most these tools can do is to allow a streamer to deal with one account, not the actual person behind that account.
And you can have moderators who can remove people who are being overtly sexual or being cruel. But the problem with this is they can just make a new account and do it over and over again. And there are so many, and there is always a new person doing it, so it doesn't really stop. Even if you ban each individual one, you're still going to see it hundreds of times a day. And these judgments are really broad and really cruel and sometimes threatening. So it's one of those things where you have to be able to be the kind of person who can read those things and see those things every single day for hours non-stop and pretend it's not happening and still smile and still laugh and still be entertaining. And that's one of the reasons why it's harder to be a woman on any content creation platform, because in general, men usually don't have to face this type of harassment on top of the typical kind that all streamers get.
And this is a great point. People's natural reaction when abuse or sexual harassment happens on a platform is that it's the platform's responsibility to stamp it out. And this is true to an extent. Twitch said they had a responsibility to make their platform safe. But to add to that, in my conversation with Anita, she talked about the problem going beyond any individual platform.
So there's no specific platform online where I would point at them and go, you're failing us, because it's a universal problem that applies to anything online. So yeah, I don't hold the platforms responsible. I feel like it's the law, and I know this because stalking victims in general get no justice. Usually if you're being stalked, nothing's going to happen. Many people get murdered by the person they've been stalked by, who they've reported to the police multiple times. Like, the thing with it is that you're powerless and there's no change to be had unless there's punishments for behaving this way. If you sexually harass anyone in any other workplace, there can be prison, there can be fines, there can be justice. But this isn't possible here until the law catches up.
Of course, it's really important to note here that it's not the responsibility of streamers like Anita to propose a legal fix for these problems, just as it's not the responsibility for a victim of any other kind of abuse. This is clearly a wider issue that can't just be fixed with ban buttons and timeouts. It happens on many platforms and the internet at large. Perhaps the bare minimum that can be done here is to listen to people like Anita, hear their stories, and create a wider awareness of the abuse, threats, and stalking that they receive when they step into their online workplace. And while these issues are deeply concerning to many people, Anita was clear with me that she speaks up with a sense of hopefulness, that she has good intentions which shouldn't be met with anger.
It's still a really fun place to be. There's still amazing people here. But like, I critique it hopefully. It's a form of optimism that makes me speak up. But yeah, you often get backed into a corner and then it becomes all you are to people. The only time they ever hear from you or see your content ever being promoted, it's when you're supposedly complaining about men, is how it's perceived. And then that hurts you as a content creator because it's not fun, it's not really promotion, it makes people really defensive, and it generally just makes gamers angry at you. So even though I'm doing it with good intentions, wanting, people to mingle more, wanting more women in gaming, wanting it to be safer and happier, I'm being treated like I'm exploiting someone, lying about someone, exaggerating things. And it's just, I would love an opportunity for this to be a discussion that's beneficial for everyone involved, rather than it being a sacrifice that women have to take on, because essentially that means that we're taking responsibility for these people's behavior. They don't get any negative consequences. They just get a ban, they make a new account, it continues. For us, it hurts our viewer count, it hurts our wages, it hurts our reputation, it hurts people's view of us, and it's stressful and exhausting. And so I just wish, that it wasn't us who bear the burden of these people's bad behavior anymore.